with us since we started this show all through 2023, 2024, 2025, and this time round. We believe that we'll come with impactful topics and analyses, which will be done by the maestro himself, Babajide Kola-Studio. Today on the show, at last, Peter Obi joins ADC, boost opposition. Then we'll also look at the untold story of Anthony Joshua's accident, which happened in Ogun State. And later on the show, Trump's arrest of Venezuela President Nicolas Maduro, wife stirs panic as Sheikh Gumi deletes all anti-US posts. In the course of the program, we take your questions, but first subscribe to our YouTube channel and drop your questions in the comment section. It's important to mention that we can only read comments with human names and the ones based on the subject matter. I have joining me via Zoom, the maestro himself, Babajide Kola-Studio. Good to see you, BKO, and compliments of the season.
Yeah, good to see you. Happy New Year. Happy New Year to you, Ibrahim, your family, and Happy New Year to our esteemed viewers. It's good to do it with you again today. And I have to say that we do not know whether it's actually true yet that Sheikh Gumi deleted some posts that are deemed anti-American. We were struggling to confirm that at the time of starting this broadcast, or we couldn't confirm.
That's right.
So maybe we'll just leave that and address other matters.
All right, then. Now let's get on to brass. Yeah, absolutely. But we can still talk about Trump's incursion into or invasion, absolutely, into Venezuela. Now let's get on to the brass tacks. Let's talk about Peter Obi, the topic that has sent tongues, wagging. Following months of political maneuvering, former Labour Party presidential candidate Peter Obi has officially joined the African Democratic Congress, known as the ADC, alongside high-profile politicians. A move many are describing as reshaping Nigeria's opposition landscape. Now, this is coming amid internal debates about zoning, coalition, coherence, and whether the move will translate into a credible challenge to ruling APC. BKO, in what ways do you think this move can alter the broader opposition calculus for 2027?
Yeah, no doubt about it. The move will certainly trigger fresh alignments and within the opposition. People want to see real opposition politics taking shape in our country. People want to see how opposition figures can come together to challenge the ruling party. People don't want to see us go into the 2027 election and the election looking like a non-event. They want some level of competition. As we speak today, the political landscape has changed rapidly. The APC now has 28 governors. It is in complete control of the South-South and the North-Central. Now, what people want to see is for the political ground to shift, even if it's a little bit, and not look like the presidential election is done and dusted. And as I've said to figures in the ruling party, there's no reason to believe that the election is done and dusted. You must be ready for a contest in 2027. And I've pointed to what happened in 2023 when APC governors could not deliver their states to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu during the presidential election of 2023. In Kaduna State, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu was well beaten. In fact, he won only 2 local governments in the whole of Kaduna State. That's significant. And the same thing happened in many other states controlled by the APC. The law states that they were in control of in the presidential election. Nasarawa, Kano, Gombe, across the geopolitical zones. The ruling party lost in states where it had sitting governors. So for that reason, it shouldn't believe that this is done and dusted. And I want to believe that the coming into the ADC of Peter Obi, if they can work together, with Atiku, many people believe that the ADC is firmly in Atiku's pocket. That Atiku created the party all by himself and for himself. And people are convinced that Peter Obi will never pick the presidential ticket of the ADC. People are convinced that Atiku will end up being the running mate. I mean, Peter Obi will end up being the running mate to Atiku Abubakar, because they know that Peter Obi cannot win the primaries of the ADC. It will take a modern day miracle for that to happen. He doesn't have the structures. He does not have the funds to go into a presidential primary where he's not certain to be given the ticket on a platter. He has not had to contest the presidential primaries of any party. They always give him, so come and join us. Oh, you'll be our candidate, this and that. So I do not see him defeating an Atiku in the ADC presidential primaries. Now, Kwankwaso is someone that I also want to talk about today. Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso is facing some big problems within his party, the NNPP. He has some disagreements with the incumbent governor. Some of the supporters of the incumbent governor believe that Kwankwaso will not let him have the ticket to contest for the governorship once again. And for that reason, they've been moving closer and closer to the ruling party. It is believed that before the end of the first week of January, the governor of Kano State, along with House of Assembly members in the state from the NNPP, would defect into the APC because the uncertainty surrounding his contesting the primaries of his party. Now, this, as I have heard, has triggered conversations between some ADC members and Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso. If this happens, it will mean that the individuals who came second, third, and fourth in the presidential election of 2023 will end up teaming together and contesting, teaming together in the ADC and challenging President Bola Ahmed Tinubu in the election. It will mean that Peter Obi will be vice presidential candidate to Atiku Abubakar, while Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso, depending on the negotiations, would support the ADC as a way of getting back at the APC for poaching his governor, for fueling disagreement within between him and his governor, who had been close to him for more than 40 years, who is also his in-law. So in politics, people try to avenge all kinds of wrongdoing. So it is possible that Rabbi Musa Kwankwaso will go and join forces with the ADC, effectively making the candidates who came second, third, and fourth to challenge the man who came first. So these kind of discussions are already fueling coalition talks. And I've seen the PDP saying, look, this is the time to come together so that the APC can be defeated. They're already having that conversation. They're already saying it clearly that at the PDP, what they are trying to do is to address the internal legal schisms within their parties before getting into talks about a broad coalition against the ruling APC. It is their belief that public disaffection about the state of the Nigerian economy, about the hunger in the land, would help them galvanize support for the major opposition party, which is the ADC, to challenge the president. I've also heard the one-party man, Sule Lamido, saying that the way things are going, they may have to move to find a way to work with another coalition to realize the intention of defeating the ruling party. Of course, Sule Lamido had never left the PDP, but recent events, especially the fact that he was not allowed to contest the chairmanship of the party during the convention in Ibadan, has made him to sue the party and has made him to start reconsidering his future. Don't forget the first few meetings that the ADC had. Sule Lamido attended one of those major meetings of the ADC, and this is one reason some members of some leaders of the PDP think that he is not worthy of being allowed to even contest for the chairmanship of the party, because the party announced from the beginning that it was not going to join any coalition. But Sule Lamido didn't listen to them. He decided to hold meetings with the ADC. So Sule Lamido has already said they could be looking at working with a coalition to unseat the APC. So I won't be surprised if he's also an individual who goes to join the ADC of Peter Obi and Atiku Abubakar. Now, how will people react to Peter Obi contesting on the same ticket, just like one in 2019 with Atiku Abubakar? Many of Peter Obi's supporters would not welcome the idea. And in fact, one of them, I think it's Madam Aisha Yusuf, said that if Peter Obi becomes the running mate of anybody that is going to, in her capacity, her private capacity, work against that ticket. And she added that why should the best always be made to play second fiddle? So what she's saying is Obi is much better than Atiku Abubakar, and Obi should be the candidate of the party. Anything short of that, they are not going to get his support. Professor Patu Tomi also said the same thing, that it has to be Peter Obi or nothing. But Nigerians are saying that these two individuals are not known to have won any election in their lives. They do not have electoral value, and that their refusal to support Peter Obi in the event that he teams up with Atiku as Atiku's running mate, it will really not make a difference. Certainly, this will divide obedience. If and when Peter Obi becomes Atiku Abubakar's running mate, it will divide obedience. But I think that they still have time to be able to pacify people and convince them that it is necessary to let that happen, and that Peter Obi could eventually inherit that seat if an Atiku Abubakar, whom age is not on his side, wins the election and he elects to do only one term in office. So this is the situation for now. As far as Obi is concerned, he took the decision to rescue Nigeria, and he has made up his mind that it is the best decision to make. It looked very much likely that he will not get the Labour Party ticket because the Abure-led Labour Party is deemed to be the authentic Labour Party. At least that's how INEC is reasoning. And for that reason,
absolutely,
Obi knows that he has no future in the current PDP and in the current Labour Party with Abure, Julius Abure, as his leader. So he decided to take a decision before it becomes too late.
Absolutely. Chinedu Okore says, finally, Obi is where he can actually build something serious. ADC just got upgraded. Aisha Lawal says, so after all the new politics talk, it's still the same party hopping. Nigerians deserve consistency. Shola Adebayo says, this is smart strategy. Politics is chess, not checkers. Obi just moved his queen. Fatima Abdullahi says, ADC is not even strong nationwide. This is just another hype that will fade. Ngozi Eze says, the system is bigger than any one man. Let's see if ADC can build structures, not just vibes. And Yusuf Musa says, APC people are suddenly scared. That's how you know something is working. And Blessing Omorigi says, BKO Ibrahim, Happy New Year to you. I'm happy that I'm also alive to watch the program today. And she also went ahead to say, we don't need saviors, we need systems. But okay, let's watch how this movie ends. And Sunday Balogun says, Happy New Year, BKO. If this leads to a united opposition, then good. If it's just another ego battle, then we have wasted time again. Because of our time, I would have loved to ask about whether there are legal and constitutional questions around the party membership and due process and the forcibly registration process or processes being talked about. I'm wondering whether these procedural disputes can weaken the coalition's legitimacy either legally or politically. We can do that in less than a minute. Let's just say a minute.
Yes, I know that there are some cases in court right now. There are still cases in court, but it is possible that they'll be able to resolve those disputes before the end of the first quarter of this year, when real politicking will have started and parties will be choosing candidates and all that. By the middle of the year, all candidates will have been matched, so we'll know where we are going. So I would want to believe that there's still time for them to get all those things right, sort their issues out with the courts, sort their issues out with the NLC, and be able to give Nigeria the kind of opposition politics that people want to see. People don't want to see one-sided election. People don't want to see what looks like a party that is extremely dominant. That is why people are talking about one-party state and all that. Nobody can bring about a one-party state in Nigeria. It's not going to happen.
That's right. That's right. Okay, so let's attack by looking at the global sports star Anthony Joshua, who was involved in a tragic car accident on the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. That left two of his close associates dead. and himself recovering from minor injuries. Nigerian police have since charged the driver with dangerous driving offenses, triggering debates on road safety, accountability, and the emotional toll on the athletes and boxing community. Could you help us uncover or unpack this issue beyond the headlines and sound bites?
Yes, the accident happened on Monday, the 29th of December. And Joshua was traveling in his Lexus SUV, bulletproof, with thick armor, as expected. And then the driver caused the fatal accident by overtaking on the wrong side. In fact, it's one of the charges that the police have levied against him. He's charged with dangerous driving, causing death, reckless and negligent driving, driving without due care and attention, driving without a valid national driver's license. Now, where that vehicle was parked, it was clear that the truck was properly parked. In fact, it had left the road completely. Yes, you could say describe that place as a road shoulder, but it was on the bare ground, not covered by tar. That was where the vehicle was. You cannot say that a vehicle that is properly parked by the side of the road caused an accident. What caused the accident was excessive speed and wrongful overtaking. You do not overtake on the right side of the road. You do not overtake in the way that he has done when you cannot clearly see what is ahead of you. And even if you could see what was ahead of you, when you are driving, it is speculated that he was driving at around 150 to 160 kilometers per hour. When you are driving at that speed, when you slam your leg on the brakes, you do not expect that the car will screech to a halt immediately. The velocity will take the car all the way by some meters. And this was what happened. So wrongful overtaking and overspeeding was what caused this crash. And the driver was lucky because of where he was sat. The two guys, I got information that Joshua actually even changed his position. Otherwise, he could have lost his life. So his conditioning coach was lost, and his trainer too died in the accident. Now the driver has been charged to a magistrate's court in Shagamu, and his matter will be decided in due course. But I have to pay tribute to the governors of Lagos and Ogun, because they stood in the hospital for 5 hours, ensuring that Joshua got the best treatment. Of course, there was pressure from all over the world. This is a British citizen, who respects his roots, who is happy and proudly Nigerian. Is Nigerian by roots, not Nigerian by birth or nationality, but he still cherishes his roots. He still cherishes his love for Nigeria. Now, the governors and their minders wrong-footed the media. They knew that Joshua was being treated at Lagoon Hospital, where they were certain he would get a good quality care. But somehow the story went out that he was in a different hospital. And TV stations were going to that place to do lives saying Joshua is here, Joshua is here. And the people in that hospital too refused to confirm whether he was there or he was not there. They did that so that Joshua will get good quality care and he will not be distracted by people who are out to sympathize with him. I've heard stories that, the Nigerian government is to blame, this and that. If the accident had happened on a bad road, yes, we can blame the government. But the road was so good that they could afford to overspeed in the way that they did. So you cannot blame the road for this. The road was good. Lagos-Ibadan Expressway is now in such a good state. And I was surprised to even hear that even that driver was driving without a valid national driver's license. We do not care about the law in our country. Nobody should be able to drive without a valid national ID card. And here was Joshua being driven by a man without a valid national ID card. Of course, that cannot happen in the UK. A 46-year-old driver who endangered the lives of other people. Some have also said that, there are no ambulances on that road. It is not possible to have the presence of ambulance across every length of the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. But I agree with people that Ogun State government, for example, that the bulk of that road is located in its territory. The longest length of that road is located in its territory, should actually have a good number of ambulance and emergency care facilities on that road. Even though I've seen accidents happen outside Nigeria. Usually the same thing happens. Once there's an accident, people will rush to the scene and be bringing them out, even before caregivers, even before an ambulance will arrive at the scene. For example, there were people who were driving just behind Joshua's Jeep. The moment it happened, they stopped and they wanted to lend a hand. Just the same way that I've seen it happen even in those foreign countries that people like to talk about. Once an accident happens, eyewitnesses will first rush to the scene to see what they can do. All of the talk about, people who have no training are the people who are going there. It should have been an ambulance that comes in first. By our nature as human beings, even if you do not have the training of the health practitioner, you can see that someone has had an accident. Whether that person is a superstar or in an entity, you first want to assist them, you rush to the scene. Later on, when the ambulances come, yes, you allow the professionals to handle the thing, but you can't watch people die. You want to see how much help you can render to save a life or two. So that is what happens. All of the people blaming those who rushed to Joshua's aid and talking about ambulances and all that. I saw the video of the white man who had an accident just recently, the one whose accident went viral. Individuals rushed there. There was no ambulance at the scene. This thing can happen. Yes, we want to see more emergency services facility along that corridor. We want to see more of them. Governor Dapo Abiodun must commit to making that happen. I'm impressed at the speed with which the Lagos State emergency services rushed to the scene. It didn't take so long. We must have on highways where accidents happen like this, we must have motorized ambulances, just driving through the highway the way the federal highway people used to do in those days, just patrolling the highway in case there are bad boys who want to kidnap people. That's the way ambulances should be seen, patrolling, so that they can respond immediately at the snap of one's fingers. They can respond to emergency and all that. But trying to make it look like this was the fault of government, I don't think it makes any sense. Where a driver drives recklessly, exceeds the speed limit, overtakes wrongfully, rams his vehicle onto a truck properly parked to the point that the distance between where it was parked to the main road shoulder to the third portion of the road is more than 6 meters. You cannot say that that vehicle was not properly parked. And from time to time, vehicles will break down. Once they are properly parked, you don't expect that anybody will go and ram his vehicle into a properly parked vehicle. The reason that happened was overspeeding. This was not a case of head-on collision. So we can't blame our government. We deserve much better from our government. But in this case, in the Joshua's case, there's little or nothing you can blame government for. There's little or nothing. Because this is purely
That's right.
driver's error. Driver's
That's
error.
right.
It's as simple as that. And the interim investigation that was done clearly showed that the driver was at fault.
Yeah.
But we
That's right.
deserve, as I've said, we deserve to have more emergency services facility on that highway, especially the Ogun State and Ogun State portion of it, which is the bigger portion. We also need motorized ambulances driving through, especially the Ogun State and Oyo State sections of the highway and other highways in our country, like Lagos, like Abuja, Kaduna, Kano, dual carriageway, which is also one of the big dual carriageways in our country, the first dual carriageway in northern Nigeria. We need such emergency services facilities in that on that corridor. We need
we have the coastal highway in the
motorized
making as well.
patrols. Yes, and even the coastal highway. Once the 700 kilometer coastal highway is ready, they also have to put all of those things. We need motels. We need places where people, when they are tired and they are driving, they can check into a motel and just rest their heads instead of driving and sleeping off at the wheels. So there are many things. I believe that the Joshua incident is a big lesson to us. I remember a minister who died shortly after he was pronounced a minister from Kogi State in 2015. He had an accident on Kaduna-Abuja highway. It was discovered that his driver did not even have a valid driver's license, and he was driving a minister. So these things happen. Somebody who has not got training, does not have sufficient experience, he does not have sufficient competence, is driving a VVIP. It's like putting your life, it's like joking with your life. There's no reason in the world where
That's right.
someone like Joshua should have a driver without a driver's license. I mean, that's too much risk. Too much risk.
That's right. Okay. That's right. Kennedy Afolayan says, this is heartbreaking. Losing your team like that is a trauma nobody prepares you for. Strength to AJ. Mary Johnson says, famous or not, Nigerian roads are death traps. We talk, then forget, then another tragedy happens. Samuel Okonkwo says, people should wait for investigation before blaming anyone. Accidents can be complex. Zainab Bello says, compliment of the season, BKO and Ibrahim. Why does it take a celebrity accident before we remember road safety exists? Ibrahim Sadiq says this will affect him mentally more than physically. Boxing is 50% mind. And Sadia Hassan says, media souls rest in peace. This is beyond sports. This is human pain. All right, BKO, we are fast approaching the end of time for this program today. Let me bring in this, current issue that is, going on, global affairs, global matter. Reports are emerging that
Yes.
U.S. President Donald Trump claims Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro and his wife were apprehended by U.S. forces following military action and indictment on criminal charges, a development that has sent shockwaves, regionally and globally. What do you think this signify in terms of U.S. Latin American relations and international norms, Mikhail?
One of the most interesting things I heard today was Trump saying that America will play a big role in Venezuela's oil business. And
Absolutely.
I'm like, what is going on? What is going on? We are already able, this thing happened just some hours ago. You're already talking about getting involved in the oil business. It's not,
sorry to butt in,
it's not right.
Sorry to butt in. Nicolas Maduro
Yes.
has said that, okay, you say you want to fight crime, you want to fight drug pushers. Okay, I'm all in. And if it is the oil that you are interested in, let's come and have a negotiation. They spoke for 10 minutes and they had good conversations. Come and invest like Shell and all of that. And the world has been saying that it is the oil that the US is actually interested in.
No, by saying that that America is going to get involved in Venezuela's oil business, it shows clearly that it's beyond just picking a president up on the claim that he was indicted for promoting drug pushing and arms deal, involved in an arms deal. Remember that in December 1989, the US president then invaded Panama and they took away Manuel Noriega. He was accused of also being involved in the drug business in America, promoting the drug business in America. And now what Trump is saying is they will no longer, US is losing hundreds of thousands to drugs. We are not going to allow it anymore. And he was saying that he watched the capture live, like I was watching a TV show. I believe that there was a camera on the helmet of one of the special forces operatives who went to Venezuela to effect the capture of the president. And they were able to watch, the president was able to watch that capture live, just the same way that Hillary Clinton and Obama watched the killing of Osama bin Laden live at the time when it was carried out. But yes, there are issues about the elections held in Venezuela, but an opposition had waited for this attack to happen. for years. A country battered by years of political and economic crisis.
Instability. Yeah.
It still does not make sense for one big country to invade another country just because it has the military muscle to make that happen. The fear now is that big countries of the world like China, like India, once they have a disagreement with another country, may feel that, look, nothing should stop us from invading that country. Because America has done it different times before our eyes. America took away the president of Panama. He went to hide inside the Vatican. But they still got hold of him and brought him to America to face trial. They locked him away for years. Now it's the same treatment that they want to give Maduro. Maduro and Trump had their issues from Trump's first term in office. And it seemed that Trump was bent on regime change. And this is what he is trying to effect. But in Venezuela at this time, yes, Trump has said that they are going to work with the opposition leader in that country. But as things stand, Maduro's people are still in charge, and people are even afraid to celebrate on the street. Opposition elements are afraid to celebrate on the street because they could be gunned down and they could be arrested. Trump appears to be biting more than he can chew without knowing it. He has already said that if Iran shoots protesters, that the US will intervene. So this feeling that we have that the US is happy to play the role of the policeman of the world, we are seeing it happening before our eyes. The support, the encouragement that Trump has had is that other Latin American countries are similarly accused Maduro of being a promoter of drugs. And Trump just felt, look, this is the time to take action. He claimed that he had warned him to surrender. He warned him about a week ago to surrender, but that Maduro refused to surrender. So now he's been indicted before now in New York for drugs and on weapons charges. Trump and the US government are about to put the president of another nation on trial in their own country. He had described Maduro's election as a disgrace back then. And the opposition clearly weaponized the fact that the regime is dictatorial and the regime was not prepared to give up power even after he lost an election. But right. This is what is it. The opposition knew that an attack would come, but they didn't know when exactly that attack will come. They couldn't have, they clearly saw this as an opportunity to effect the change that they wanted. But America will not simply effect a change in the affairs of your country. They will not simply take your president that you don't want away. They will make sure that their companies benefit from the resources of your country. Look at the rebuilding of Iraq after the war that they declared. Wrongful intelligence that Saddam was amassing weapons of mass destruction. After Iraq was destroyed, it's the Americans who have benefited from the reconstruction, with many of their companies getting contracts to help rebuild that country. So it is, many are outraged, many are shocked, but they are waiting to see how the world will react, especially the United Nations will react to what I done, because this is clearly an aberration. But to the Americans, it is not an aberration. Once they made up their minds to change the regime, they will do whatever it takes to make that change happen. And that is what Trump has done. They claimed that the weather
That's
was
right.
not good enough to effect that the attack last week, but that they felt that the weather was clear now, and then he decided to move in. To what extent will America exploit the resources of Venezuela, one of the most rich in oil countries of the world? To what extent are they prepared to go? That is the next phase. That is what we'll know in the coming days. But a clear message has been sent that America will not hesitate to effect regime change where its interests are at variance with the interests of the government in power. How will America behave if China were to invade Taiwan at this time? How will they behave? I just hope that
Right.
the Third World War will not be triggered by this kind of decisions to use military might just because you have it and effect a change in another country. It's clearly against the UN Charter, and we expect the UN to react strongly to this.
The UN is controlled by the US. It's controlled by the US. They are toothless bulldogs, so they make the decision.
What is criminal. Invading another country in the way America has done could trigger greater destabilization of not just that country, but it could lead to intractable problems. We can see what has happened in Libya. It is now divided into two countries. So it is what it is, but we'll see how the world reacts.
Right. Very quickly, BK. Ahmed Suleiman says, if true, this is a very dangerous precedent. Arresting a sitting president, the world is shifting. Grace Williams says, funny how power works. If it was a small country doing this, the world would be shouting. Victoria Onwoye says, so the US is now global police, and George, this won't end well. I agree with you, BK. Michael Thompson says, accountability is accountability. If Maduro committed crimes, power shouldn't protect him. All right, let me quickly chip in this very last question. We're actually out of time, but I just assume that this a special edition we're giving our audience because of what is unfolding, both locally and internationally. As you've said, Donald Trump is saying that we are going to have a presence in Venezuela only as it pertains to oil. And he's also saying that they are working on dealing with the vice president of Venezuela and see how that goes. And vice president of Venezuela is also saying that he is going to do everything that the US asks it to do. But these are the guys talking about Donald Trump and Netanyahu, for instance. Donald Trump, faced 34 counts charge on felony. Netanyahu, who is a close ally of Donald Trump, has killed. Now they are estimating over 70,000 innocent Palestinians, including more than 200 journalists. And then they are committing atrocities, killing people. I don't even know the word to use. Maybe you help me. Who is going to stop the US? Who is going to stop this madness that the world is, the US is drawing the entire world into? You have actually, thrown caution in the wind about third world war breaking out if care is not taken.
I want to see countries like India play a much bigger role. India just recently overtook Japan as the fourth biggest economy in the world. And it is even projected that if they continue to grow at that pace, they are going to overtake Germany. So I want to see China and India come together because they are both economic and military powers. They are both economic powers and military superpowers. So if they can come together, they will be able to whittle down the influence of the Americans, because it's really unwholesome to go to another country and do the kind of thing that Trump has done. Trump has simply behaved just like George Bush Sr. behaved back in 1989. Now, they are looking at what Netanyahu is doing. Both Trump and Netanyahu are corrupt individuals. Netanyahu is begging now for the corruption case against him to be quashed. Well, I mean, if you believe you are innocent, why are you asking for amnesty? Because we've seen a former prime minister of Israel go to jail. He knows that when he finally loses power, he will be put on trial and he could go to jail. Now he's asking that they should quash those, that they should give him a kind of amnesty or forgiveness for the crime of corruption that he has committed. The world appears to be a place where people talk about equality of all men, but in the real sense, there is no such thing. If a president can order American forces to go into another country, bomb their airports, bomb their ports, bomb their military facilities, and then go on to pick the president of that country and his wife and take them all the way to America to be put on trial based on American laws. Come on, come on. This is not the sort of thing that should be happening in our world. So it means that even if a president is popular with his people, I'm not saying Maduro is popular with his people, although he has his own issues. The opposition even boycotted the 2018 elections because of transparency issues. But I'm saying that even if a president is popular, once Trump does not like him, Trump is a bully. Trump can go as far as sending troops to remove that government from power. That should not be the case at all. That's why the world is outraged. The world, it came as a shock to people that the president of the free world, as America is called, could go to another country, invade another country, capture the president alive, capture the wife of the president, and then take them to America so that they can face trial. It's a terrible day. It's a terrible day.
Absolutely. We'll see how this pans out. And it's really a very sad thing, as you said. Very, very sad. We just hope that, America is able to rein in their rabbit. I don't want to say anything afterwards other than that. But then that's our show for today's edition of Issues with Jide. Special thanks to you, Baba Jide Kola, the studio, for those insightful analyses, as always. And we believe that 2026 is going to unfold, positively because, with the thing that, we just analyzed, you just analyzed now, we do not want the world to go in that direction, especially with someone who had barely spent a year and has caused much more chaos. What's going to happen in the next 3 years?
Thank you, Brian. Thank you to our viewers. We'll do this again next week, God willing. Thank you for your patronage. You are the reason we are still in business. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. And thanks to our audience for keeping our company on every edition. You can see the program again anytime by subscribing to our YouTube channel, TVC News Nigeria. Click on the subscribe button to get the latest information. You can also follow us on our social media platforms at TVC News NG. I'm also at Ibrahim_Shita. On behalf of the rest of the team, I'm Ibrahim Shita. See you again next edition. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.